Welcome to HQ Live. Hi, I'm Vicki Hoth, joined with my studio educators,
Cheryl Duncan,
Marie Eldridge,
and Carrie Rollins.
and we are so excited because we have a whole table full of quilts that have been quilted by our educators throughout the United States and even Canada. And they're all basically the same type of a fabric. Tell us about that fabric, Carrie.
Okay, this is fabric from Deborah Linker, and she ice dyed these quilts, meaning that she actually took the crushed ice and then poured dye over them.
So she ties them.
She ties the
fabric before they're
fabric
quilted.
up. Yes, let me go back. The fabric gets all tied up. Then you put ice over it, and then you pour the dye over the ice, and it sinks in.
And depending on the dye and how the ice melts
Right.
is what you get. And we have, I don't even know how many.
But they're all
many.
different.
They
They
are
are
all different.
different.
And so then the challenge was given to our educators and us as well to quilt this as a whole cloth and to just we got to do anything we wanted with them. Okay? So you get to see the thought process of our educators. So our first one today is Vicki Kirkfleet, and she's got a lot of high contrast fabrics in this with your green and your pink and your purple and even some white in here. So, but she has created this beautiful, and the name of this is called Kaleidoscope Flower. So when you see this as the whole quilt, you can see, you think when you were a child and you'd turn that kaleidoscope and see all those fun things. So tell me, what do you...
Okay, so the interesting thing to me is that there's all these colors, and yet she chose one color of thread. So she's used that same color of thread throughout all the colors, and even on the darker part, which on the dark part, it almost looks like white thread.
It does.
Doesn't it,
You have to look and think,
But,
oh, wow.
so these are big leaves that she stuck in. Did we
Yeah,
talk about
and then
that
these
she-
little peekaboo leaves right here.
So you got the flower in the center and the leaves on the outside, and then this background fill.
And she used this ruler to create, and I think it's on this side of the ruler, and we probably have that turned backwards, on this side of the ruler template to make those curved cross-hatching flowers.
And that was done
they
with
are
rulers,
so
so that's a
pretty.
lot
It's
of
amazing.
measuring.
This is all free motion quilting and rulers. And she's got some dimension to this quilt, and by doing what she did was she actually placed her backing on, and then her first layer of batting was a Hobbs 80-20 and then wool. And that wool gives some real dimension when you leave some negative space unquilted. It just really pops, makes it nice. So she's done a beautiful job of quilting this. Okay, let's move on because we have lots to show. Okay, this one is Kelly Burton. Am I right?
You are right.
Because they all have a
Hold that
label.
on you. Yes. This is called Jigsaw Dreams. And I think Kelly, what she really did here was she used that glitter thread and really made that.
Defined it.
Because she stitched over it so many times. What do you think, 10 times there?
Oh, at least.
At least, yeah. And then she's used a lot of different thread choices here, plus some variegated threads. So I think when you have so
dark
many
here.
colors, then thread colors can,
You can have some
play
fun
into
with
it.
it.
It's
Yeah.
actually variegated in here. You see here that it's variegated.
It is variegated here, and this is a solid color. The one thing she did here is she shortened her stitch length, so when she did that stippling in here, she got some really nice curves in that. It makes it really pretty. Okay, and some pebbles too. All right,
Lots of pebbles in there.
all right. Let's move.
This one is
Jane Hoppridge.
Hoppridge.
Jane Hoppridge. Okay. Can you believe the difference in the three choices that you've seen already in the way the ice dye, the different dyes she's put together?
And the colors, yeah.
So hers is a lot. Jane is really a beautiful feather quilter. A lot of feathers in this, but free motion quilting. You can see where she's got the dimension to her with her batting.
She's got the graph going to the.
So I think most of these were quilted by starting in the center and basting. So you baste from the outside, you baste your whole quilt. And then Jane started in the center, and she did pretty much the bones of this first. She did all of these
Without putting the fill in.
without the fill. She used a ruler, and she defined that by leaving a little space in between there that kind of carries your eye. But some are unquilted, some are loosely quilted, and some are very quilted. And all those different kinds of textures make this amazing.
Well, and you know what I like is she's got this light color here, and she really defined it. Really defined it with this.
Well, and here again, she used different colors of thread depending on on where she was sewing.
She did. So let's just turn this over, though. I want to just show you. As we turn this over and leave it up there, there's no binding on this. So all of these quilters were asked to do a facing, and so there's no stopping. You know, a binding kind of gives you a stopping place. There's no binding, so your imagination can continue off out of the quilt.
Ooh, wow, that was a good one.
Well, and look at her back, how busy it is.
So yeah, if you make mistakes, and you know, you don't see them as much, but
No,
we're
you
going to see
don't.
some that are not so busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her feathers are beautiful in this.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to go to some kind of muted colors.
And this is two that are sort of the same colors,
Similar.
but they're going to be so different in the way they were quilted.
All the same color thread. Okay.
This is Linda Matteotti, and Linda is our art and stitch specialist.
Art and stitch
she
and
loves it.
cross-stitcher.
So that's what she did, is she took a picture, took it to art and stitch, and then
Use
set
that
up
as a background.
Yeah, as the background, and set up her designs, created her own designs to fit exactly with this, and it looks awesome, right?
So Linda's from Arizona, and this totally gives that. I think this is an Arizona quilt. Don't you think the colors?
Southwest.
Southwest.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to turn this one over though. Which way are we going to turn it? Let's pull it forward. Oops, there you go. And we're going to hold this up so you can see the quilt and not us. You can really, hi Marie, you can really see. She has used a solid, or you know, just a muted background fabric, and you can really see the quilting.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful, the quilting. So
done a
she's
great
got,
job.
like, she could do it both ways.
So actually, she went into art and stitch and then just brought it back into Pro Stitcher
Well, yeah, so she had the picture of the quilt
in art and stitch.
in art and stitch as a background, and then she could take each section, so let's move it back over here, as she defined that, she could take each section and say, I've got this section right here, what am I going to put in here? And these are feathers that are, you know, in the design, she's created that
All in art and
100%
stitch.
done in art and stitch.
That's very nice.
It's pretty.
Just shows what you can do with that.
I'm not sure 100%'s done.
Yeah,
No,
I was going to say, I think she did some fills.
I think she did. Because she's a good
we're
feather
Linda.
girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Same
is Linda
colors, but it
Gosselin.
looks different. First of all, you see the bling.
Right. And I love how she's carried that bling all the way out, not
Yeah.
just
And this is Linda Gosselin.
Linda
who's done
Gosselin,
this.
which is
Another.
art and stitch and pro stitcher. Now Linda took her feather, she created in art and stitch just a half of a feather here, right here. Then she copied it and made the second side of it. And then she took that feather and she made it different sizes. So if you look at it, there's another one right there. Flip it over. So she used a lot that same feather. There is some free motion quilting, and I noticed how in her ribbon candy she changed that color so that it really gives that a different look on the thread. I
I think she called that a salmon.
Salmon.
She
oh,
did
salmon
call it a salmon
thread.
color, yeah. And it just blends in with the color in the background.
And then
But
she just
then here-
finished. Go ahead.
Sorry, she's used a glitter thread of some kind.
Yeah, she wanted to make that star stand out. So after everything was said and done, she went back in with that glitter thread
And
and
just-
did a couple of passes to make it really shine.
And that-
shine.
Really,
A shine.
right. And I love that she's done this channel lock or the piano keys on the outside to just frame it.
Yeah.
To frame the whole thing and feathers and some beautiful work.
So she had a hard time deciding what to name this. So Carrie, she was looking out her window, and what did she come up with?
Sky at Dusk.
Yeah. So that was her inspiration for the name.
All right.
Would have been
And then
pretty
she
sunrise
also-
that morning.
Did some little blings to it, which
Right.
makes it shine. Yeah,
Okay.
sparkle.
Okay, we have our next quilt up here, and this is so beautiful. Just want to pet this one. This is Kelly
Really
Ashton's
pretty.
quilt. Let's just kind of hold it up so you can kind of see some of the quilting on this. So, a lot of our quilters, as they talked about how they started this process, they would hang it up on a wall, just the panel, and they would study it for weeks.
Yep. Think about it, and ideas come to you. Sometimes they.
You walk in and out of a room and you come in and you see something totally different than you saw when you first put it up. You step back from it, you get close to it. So this is Kelly's process. This is what she did. She studied this for quite a while so that the inspiration would come to her. Okay?
Right.
So she taped then some preview paper over the top of it, hanging on the wall. And this is just the preview
This is our
paper.
preview paper.
And she just started drawing. She brought some stencils in, some line grid stencils, different stencils, to just get that inspiration. And she realized that this was very symmetrical.
So what do you
So
you use on here? What can you use on here to mark this?
Oh, I don't know, what you tell me.
Well,
Because we did yours. So what did we use
we
on
did.
yours?
We
Yeah.
did. And you can either use dry erase markers, and the best way to just take off that dry erase marker is to use some batting.
Quilt batting. 'cause
Yeah,
it
quilt batting because it holds it up. Or you can use a permanent marker and use alcohol to
Rubbing alcohol.
to bring it off. Oh, not any kind of alcohol? Just
No,
the
not that one.
I
don't know, it might work.
I don't know.
Are you sure?
We'll go with the rubbing alcohol.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that's, yeah. So you can use this over and over again, actually.
Okay, so she did that process and she drew and figured it all out, and then she loaded it and she basted across so that she could then roll it back and forth. So you've got yours
Halfway done.
halfway down,
I'll
so
show
let's
you.
move that out of the way.
Yes.
And she'll show you the basting process so that you then can just quilt this any place. And most of our quilters probably
that.
started in the center, so they did have to advance this.
So whenever you start something in the center, you do want to baste it.
So you can
that
see
the
the-
fabric doesn't, yeah.
You can see the little basting
fabric,
threads.
Yeah, it's kind of light.
You chose the matching color.
And I shouldn't
And
have.
I know that one of them, and I can't even remember which one said they
remember who it
chose
was.
black.
Yeah.
So that you could
To
totally
see
see
it,
where
see the
this was,
basting
and then
was.
you could pull that out. And so
Yes.
when you got that finished, that area finished, you could pull that thread out,
You can see it probably
especially,
better there.
especially before you
Yeah.
started doing your background fill.
Yes. So,
Okay.
So Carrie, this looks great. Are you gonna finish it?
So we expect to get an email from everybody that says, Carrie, go for it. Just do it.
And then Cheryl and Vicki,
start
start it.
yours. Yours done.
I'm in
Started.
the thinking about it
Mine's
process.
still on the wall, we're looking.
All right.
Okay,
but
let's move that
That's how
away.
you baste. You basted it long.
All right, so now, Marie,
Okay.
talk about the rest of this process.
I love that she chose this dark, dark orange thread, and it also has kind of a shine to it. And she pulled that out until she got right to these little circles, and then just dropped in that pink, light pink.
It's a
that just
Magnifico thread that she's used
kind
throughout
of
this.
radiates out of there.
I love it.
Which,
I really
okay,
like
say
that.
your part about this, what you love.
As we analyzed these quilts as they were hanging on the wall, watched hers and I just looked at it and I thought, this quilt is like, it just radiates out. These lines just radiate out. And then Marie pops
I'm
in and
like,
she says,
But,
right.
but right from the center, she has this little row of circles from the center. Then she repeats that here, and she repeats it again out here, bringing that harmony to it. Then she's got the lines that pull this way, and these kind of pull this way. The whole thing just pulls you, draws your eye, directs your eye. She's got a lot going on there. It's just beautiful.
That's why, by not adding a binding, but just facing this, it keeps your imagination going. You just keep, oh, what else is there with this quilt?
You know what? And sometimes the back is even.
I know, that was a
nicer
little
than the
teaser, right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're going to turn this over. Oh, it's gorgeous. We're going to hold this up so you can't see Marie and Carrie. Just beautiful.
That really lets you see the lines as they go outward.
What are you seeing in there, Cheryl?
I see the design, but it's so pretty all by itself without all the other colors to it. It could be a standalone quilt.
Right on the back.
Yes.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And you know, the one thing that I've noticed is that she uses the same color of thread on the top and the back.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
she did. Good point.
Yes. So, matched them up. Oh, beautiful. Okay. I'm going to put this in my to-go home bag.
Not sure she'd appreciate that.
No, she won't miss it, will she? No. Okay. Oh, my gosh. This one is so fun. This is from Harriet Carpanini, and this is the fun one. And you think, really? Where's the fun? But it's like, where's Waldo here? She has hidden or placed in this quilt some, what's the name of it?
It is called.
Oh, we turned
we
this
named
down.
it-
We-
It's Starburst, but we changed the name.
Hidden Garden?
Hidden Garden.
This is a hidden garden. Yeah, we're going to tell Harriet she needs to change this because she's added little things from the garden in it. So there's a little bird right here.
A little hummingbird.
That's a little hummingbird.
And what have you got over on your
A
side?
butterfly.
And I have a flower.
There's a little butterfly. And
And
there's
I
some
think-
butterflies down there.
So
Cheryl,
there's
if
just
you
this
crawl
hidden-
under the table.
There's another little butterfly right here.
Yes, it's a different butterfly
Kind of
from.
hidden in the grid work, so you
Right.
have to really look for them.
So you can really see the star effect here on this one. Is that an 8-pointed star that she's done in the center? Are we kind of hiding your face?
I'm fine. Just bring the food.
So she's got this star, but Carrie, are you the one that pointed the way she did this star? Because she's got two different
Yeah,
elements going on.
Cheryl's the one that noticed
Oh,
it.
Cheryl.
The feathers and then the grid
So half of this star,
is feathers and half is grid work.
that is so awesome. And then she followed it through. I love that she's followed this through out into the rest of the quilt. So she's framed it with these feathers here, and she's got some negative space that actually really gives it a good frame. And then she framed it again with some negative space, and then this one. And this is a little bit wider than what she's done, maybe a 1/2 inch rather than a 1/4 inch, using your echo feet to do that. Oh my gosh, so easy, so easy. Using rulers.
And the fun thing is, in here, she's echoed her feathers. Out here,
Yes.
not and not here, but it just makes it.
Well, it frames
echo.
it. It
Yeah,
gives it, it
yes.
makes it stand out on its own. And you know what? I was pointing out earlier, I really like the way she has done her piano keys. So the piano keys are going this direction, and then they stop. Let's see, they keep going, but they go all the way to the end. And then these piano keys, this actually comes and butts up against it, and they go all the way over to the side
this
there.
way,
And
and then
so
it
I
goes-
like kind of the way she has, we'll pull this one down, the way
The way she's
done those piano keys where it's okay, you don't have to come in to the corner.
Do a
Oh,
mitered
This is
corner.
again a beautiful back.
all right, let's turn it over. Let's turn it over.
Look at that.
Marie, we're gonna hide your face again? No, we don't need to. Look how beautiful that is.
So one thing that you know, sometimes happens when you're doing a star is you have everything coming to the center, and then you
There's a
just
lot of
get
thread.
a lot of thread, but you also either it pokes up or it pokes down, which she avoided that by putting that circle in the center there. Not too big, not too small, and she brought all those points into there, and it's kind of spins out of there.
Right.
So that was a good
Smart thing to
decision.
do, yeah.
Yep, good
So I
decision.
think that on these triangle crosshatch here, I'm thinking this is what she did, okay? She created an area, because I think this is Pro Stitcher. She may tell me it's not, but I think this is Pro Stitcher. And she created an area with the Pro Stitcher of 4 points, even though it's a 3-point triangle. She started 1, 2, right together, 3, 4. And then she took the square block crosshatch and she skewed it in here. And by doing that, it creates a curved crosshatch, and it skews those up to the center, so it makes your triangle, and it makes the most awesome. You don't have to do ruler work. You just put it in there and stitch it out.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of math too.
Yes, it does.
Get it all even.
Yeah, so
very
beautiful
beautiful.
quilt. Let's
So
turn this over, because there's so much in the color going on here.
This one
And
really reminds me of a kaleidoscope that we had when we were little. The colors in it.
That's true. You turn that kaleidoscope and
Yep.
you see all those colors. Yes, you really defined it. It's beautiful. Okay, are we ready for someone else's? I'm going to move my papers and make sure I'm getting all of their notes, because we asked them to send us notes of
Megan
all their
Best.
quilts. This is
Yeah.
Megan's. She used some Wasatch from some designs from Wasatch Quilting to plan hers out, her designs out, and she's got a lot of feathers going on here.
I love that it starts with those dark, deep colors on the inside and then just gradually fades out.
And I like the fun little circles there. That ice really did it a great job.
Yeah. Leave some spots so all those pebbles show.
Gave it some negative space from these pebbles to the lines to the pebbles out here.
Which, you know, she's got pebbles and straight lines. You know, everything is kind of circular and straight, so they just complement each other. One accents
Right.
the other.
They work well. It works well together. Just
Do you know what she said? She said that she started this on her home sewing machine, stitching out some of the different areas.
Really?
Yes.
oh, well, good. All right, and there's 2 layers of batting. So she actually framed it first with all the straight line stitches, so that kind of laid everything down, set it in place, stabilized it, and then she went back in
thread on
and
this
added her other colors. And
Okay, so how do you choose which color?
well, first of all, I'd just take them all.
Those are all my favorites, right? Yeah.
And they're all in here, aren't they? Every color's in
all
here,
work.
maybe even some yellow.
But first off, I would pull that green out, and if you put that on there, it totally disappears. So she was smart in her choice to come more of an olive green in there. See how, you know, that just shows
it
up.
does. Makes it pop.
Yeah. So I think when you put the color that matches or a little deeper, it makes the colors more richer, more rich. I just love how that, you know. The other hand, then she's faded out, and out here she's used a lighter blue. But you really don't know for sure until you lay that thread out, till you see a color next to a color.
And she has her thread colors have some sheen to it, so I would think she's using a trilobal polyester like Magnifico or Fantastico, because I don't see that she has any variegated. I think it's all
variegated.
solid colors, but she's using, and those are superior threads, and they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful threads.
This is even yellow.
The threads that we have here
Yeah, she's
are
got
so
yellow right
fine
here.
threads, and they would be great as, you know, but that
Ooh, look at that.
sheen.
That one would go right in there.
See, okay, so the other thing is, you know, we can put these here and say, yep, they all go here, but when you finally start getting down to quilting, you saw what Marie did, is she took that thread and she puddled it. Whoops. puddled it out there so you can see what's it going to look like. What am I going to see when the quilt's finally finished?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that change of green in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Otherwise,
job.
I'll totally lose it.
Right.
Very nice.
And then,
Want me to hold that for you?
yeah, there you go. Good luck. Just all right. Let's move
All
this one. What is this
right.
one called? It's right here. It's called.
Mojito?
Okay.
What's that mean?
I don't know what that means.
Somebody
Okay,
needs
now
to tell
everybody
us.
send an email to
Type
Megan.
in, or no, just type to us and tell us what it means, or we'll get out your phone there and we'll figure out what it means. Beautiful quilt. Okay, I love those colors. Those are like my favorites.
All right.
Oh.
Let's move more down.
Okay, this one is Mary Beth's. Mary Beth Crapel, and I'm gonna kind of, hold on, let me get my paperwork, because I really like, so when she said getting started with this was really hard for her. And the reason it was, she says, it was beautiful and I loved all the colors, but the very center of it was this center dye that was all just kind of muted together and just kind of mixed and made it look muddy. And she put it on the wall and said, I've got to figure out what can I do, what can I do, what can I do? And then it came to her. She read the notes again. It said, you can applique something on this. And so she did. So she covered up that muddy look that she didn't like.
Which, if you don't like it, it is so hard to work on it, to finish it, to come up with ideas. So good on her to just
You know
get
what-
that out of the way.
And I've looked at this before, and until you told me that, I didn't even think. I thought, oh yeah, that is applique.
I know, I didn't either.
You don't even notice
just-
it. It just looks
It
like
just
it's
blends in.
where it's supposed to be. Yes.
And then she did some couching. Where's our couching feet? She did to kind of give it some more oomph,
yes.
to kind of define that, because if you hadn't have defined it, then you can kind of see this muted area around here, muddy as she talks about. But she actually created these beautiful leaves here with the couching, and it gave it that definition, and then she gave it a little bit of echoing out there.
One of the tricks that Mary Beth pulled on this one is that each of these petals are not exactly the same. She emphasized where the color was and shaped her petals around that, because that would define each petal rather than that symmetrical look. So I think the color had the dominance in this, and she was smart to go with that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and you don't notice that those petals aren't the same.
You don't.
They
You don't.
totally work together. And I like all the hearts that she's put in, and that she's left these hearts with a little bit of trapunto in them.
She said once she got the center figured out and quilted, then I think it was like the creative juices were flowing again. And she brought her golden threads paper in, and she started creating designs. And so then she started creating these heart designs with feathers, and she's got these feathers here, and then she could take those and repeat them throughout her quilt. Mary Beth is also an art and stitch pro
Instructor, yes.
certified, and so she could go into art and stitch and create what she wanted in there and bring it back and stitch it out with the pro stitcher.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Did she use this the same way you used the
Preview paper.
preview paper?
She did a little bit, yes, from what she said. Well, I can read this. She says, I drew the designs roughly on golden threads paper.
Okay, so just
And
kind of
placed
with
it over the fabric.
Okay.
So because you can see through that golden thread paper.
Right,
You
like
can totally
that.
see through that. Yes, and that's what she did. So she drew those designs, and then she took it into her art and stitch and digitized it.
But it looks like it's supposed to be. This fits here. It's supposed to be there. I don't know what else could have been there.
Yeah.
This looks like it's supposed
It
to be
does.
there. I don't know what else could have been there. And then there's another heart out here. She just made all those shapes.
So
just
by
fall
creating
in.
that, then she could
Yeah.
place that out here.
Yeah.
She did this with the mark in Pro Stitcher, the piano keys here, the straight lines. She did, here's some stippling going on right here, so that was free motion quilting. She actually did some free motion with this, but beautiful. And then she's added, I really like her backing. I think it just
It's just
is
sweet.
really nice. Mhm.
One thing that I noticed is that sometimes these quilts are really hard to get square, and she said she used a laser square up to
So
square
you
this
go to your
quilt up.
husband's tools and get that laser light
I
square.
get my own.
Oh, actually, I did. But Jared at work always wants to borrow it. So tell me the name of this, because she created her label,
The beat goes on.
The Beat Goes On. It's the hearts.
That's cute. Yeah.
And it's the tie-dye, and it's the Sonny and Cher thing. She's got all like, come on, you guys.
Okay, Sonny and Cher. Do you remember Sonny and Cher? The Beat Goes On. Okay. Oh, see, I think that's pretty. Oh, look at this. It's another one of those favorite colors of ours.
Denise Best.
Do you like this color?
Actually, mine is this color.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, we should someday see
Maybe
that.
I should just take one of these and put my name on it and give them the blank one, the unquilted one.
Okay, this one,
This is Denise Best, and she is definitely pro stitcher and art
Totally.
and stitch. So she figured all this out. The thing I love that her decision made on this was to use the monopoly thread. So see-through thread throughout, which does not change the
Invisible
color
thread.
of any of it, right?
Right.
It just, what you see is the tie-dye.
You get the
It's
texture.
the fabric, right.
Yep, you get the texture, and yet you just see the true colors of it.
And this is 100% Pro Stitcher. No free motion quilting. It was all designed in Art and Stitch, and she took her background into Art and Stitch and designed it, and then created it all in Pro Stitcher. And this one had, what's the name of this one?
It is Blinged Bubbles.
I would say there's a lot of bubbles here.
Yep.
But I want to turn it over. And she did a white background
So you can really
using white thread. So her tension is like awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay. You know what? She didn't use monofilament all the way, did she?
I was gonna say, some of this looks like it.
As we
could
look
have-
at it now, close up,
Ah.
she's used some good, but she's used, look at this. Look how you can see the designs on this. So one week I'll hang it on the wall this way,
That's right.
turn it the next week.
Hang it on the
Hang it the other way.
That's beautiful.
Well, she'll never know if you steal it then, Cheryl.
Right.
Just hang it on the back side.
It's beautiful.
There you go.
All right, our next one is Amy Van Gerp. She's from Canada, and she had a lot of fun with this. She hung it on the wall for several weeks. It kind of is a repeat, isn't it, as everyone else?
Everyone
You have to
was.
get that inspiration. So she's got her preview plastic. She's got it hanging on the wall. She's got a preview plastic over the top of it so she can draw. And then she has taken all these different threads across there and to preview what, and every one of them look really good with it.
They do.
And then she used her camera, which is such a good idea. She used her camera with the different effects, so like a grayscale and different coloring, so that she could see the intensity of it and where she maybe should add quilting or highlight, So she really did a lot of analyzing on this before she ever put a needle to it.
Should you do any pro stitcher on this at all?
It doesn't look like it. It looks like she's
yeah,
done free
she's-
motion, and
I-
she's had a fun time with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
These look like those big fronds just laying out there.
And this looks like shells, and maybe we need to go to the beach.
So she
Yeah.
used 3 different threads on this. She used a metallic, so you can see some metallic in these pebbles. And on these ferns, or whatever this is here, she used a glitter. And then the rest of this, she put silk. She used silk on a lot of it. Silk is so beautiful, it makes it just sparkle. And then, of course, sparkle, she blinged it a little bit with some hot
A
fix
little
jewels.
bit. She's got
And
some
this
on
is
there.
called a
few on
sparkle in my eye.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
That's exactly what it should be.
That's
Because
right.
there's an eye right in the center. It's beautiful, beautiful, Amy. Oh, wow. All right. Okay, so I have no notes on this one.
Oh,
Marie.
really? What are we going to say?
I'm just going to throw the notes away because this is Marie's. This is Marie's, and it is so, oh, wait a minute. I did have some notes. Hold on, I got to go dive for them.
I feel like it's so different from the others. This was one of the first ones that we got, and I picked this because where does your quilting show? It shows in light colors, white, right? And so I always want to see the quilting. That's what draws me. So I really wanted to start with the Pro Stitcher, so I knew that I was going to be symmetrical. So picture girl. This is, you can see what I created on the Pro Stitcher. And thank heavens that we have that nudge that you can do at a 45-degree angle, because I could just put each of these on there and use that, you know, so that I could just nudge them into the circle. And I set it up first. I had every single one of these center designs, which are from Nancy Hackey, and then I added a bit, which you can't just leave, you know, you have to always add some. And so I felt very confident about the center placement of everything. But then I had this little awkward space in between, because you can see how funny those
Right in here?
Yeah, right in
Okay.
there. And so I took a piece of paper and just made myself a little stencil that I could kind of copy inside there. And then I knew that each shape was going to be the same, even though this was kind of a little awkward. And then, you know, you always have to leave a bubble or two, which that's what I did here, was add a bubble or two, you know, so that it came out to where the colors started to change.
So those circles are like dead on perfect. How did you do that?
These circles,
No, these little bubble or twos that you added and in here, they're dead on perfect. What did you use?
oh, you know, rulers.
It would be is it a mini circle?
It's a mini circle ruler.
Ruler,
Yes,
yes.
I love that mini circle ruler, and you can get it dead on and lie all you want. So, yeah, that's how I do it.
did it.
Yep.
Did you always do it that way?
Pretty much, you know, they're my favorite, right? They make you look good. We got to have a ruler. Switch is how I did it. All of this was, I really like the
Airy Race.
I do, because it goes away. See, Carrie could say it, everybody can say it, because that's my go-to.
That's yours.
It's because I can mark with this and then it just disappears, and then I know what I've got. Even though it looks like maybe it bled right here. But that's the thing about the tie-dye.
It
is
didn't
the
bleed.
colors
It didn't, yeah.
kind of here and there are very pronounced, and in other places, look, in the same place over here, it's quite white, where this one is quite orange. And so I changed thread colors. This actually has a really dark orange to accent it. Those go into light pinks. And then all the white areas, like these little squares, the little checkerboard, I did white thread in those to really make
let's
that.
stop with the checkerboard then. I want to turn over. I want you to show the quilters how you quilted your checkerboard. Did you mark it?
Oh, I marked it. So you just happen to have a ruler here. Let's
And I happen to have a piece of paper.
All right. So I would take a regular mark and mark every ½ inch or so.
Okay.
So I'm measuring it that way. And then I would quilt.
So
know.
that's all the marking you did? You didn't do lines?
No, I just do
Just
a mark.
a reference points.
And then, right, and then I would stitch, right? So I would stitch, make my squares.
Okay.
After
Stitching.
you marked all those.
Yeah.
After you just marked the edges.
Right, I mark as little as I have to, right? I don't want a whole lot on here, and I don't have to mark a whole lot to know where I'm going. Let's do one more line here. All right. I just go in and wiggle back and forth, and sometimes I'll use that ruler to guide me, but then I can go to the next square over, and I'm just going back and forth, and then I can cross over at that point and come into this one. Of course, I'm doing them really close, but
And you never had to do a thread break because you're just moving
Back and
over.
forth.
You're traveling.
oh, I'm letting out all my secrets.
But so I'm over here and I need to get over here. How would you get there?
I can just sneak up the line,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Because
right.
I'm using a very light white thread so that I
When
can
you say
go.
very lightweight, tell what, 100 weight?
Now, I don't have one secret left.
micro quilting
I'm
thread?
sure you do.
Invisifil?
Yes, that's what I like. I like the Invisifil or the Decobob because they have a little bit of a shine to them.
And I love the micro quilting too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's got that same, just like, oh, awesome. All right, so you've
And
chosen
this is all so fine, which that was the perfect peachy creamy color.
that you had.
So I use lots of colors. And then I use the same thing on the back.
So yeah, I like
the
this.
same,
Just
the
dark
very same
purple there.
thread or just the same
The
color?
same color. Typically the same thread.
So
but-
let's
wanna
turn
see
it
it?
over so we see what you've done because it's as beautiful on the back as it is on the front. So you can totally see that when she used that really dark thread, she changed her bobbin and this cute little wiggle stitch that makes it look kind of lacy. And then, look at this. Wait a minute. Why is this color and this color?
All right, let's look over here. So this, you're getting into the dark shades of the dye. And then when it changed, I changed to a light pink over here. So I had to change on the other side as well.
Okay.
Right? Change that bobbin.
That just wasn't a
Yeah,
mistake. That was
yeah.
a meant to
So,
be.
Yep. And look how you just changing the angle on this just changes how the light hits it. Yeah. These were, you can say they're a whole cloth quilt, and yet the colors and the way they're placed are really an inspiration to doing your design, rather than just be given a blank piece of cloth and say, do whatever.
Right, right.
Right?
You get that inspiration.
You get to work with the colors, and you have
It's
to
kind
work
of
with the
piece, but
colors.
it's-
Yeah.
So what's the name of this? I have no idea why you called it that, but I get one. But I
Oh
don't
my stars and garters. This wasn't, one of
That's what
those
Mother
where,
used to say.
where you reach out there when you're trying something that's brand new to you, right?
Okay, let's go back here for a minute. We're gonna steal
More secrets.
More
Yeah,
secrets.
more secrets. There they go, Carrie.
So you talked about changing the direction, but the other thing that you did with this, not only did you change that direction, but you gave it some spacing, so it just kind of gave it a minute to breathe, to move on, and
Oh, I'm glad you said that. I think your eye needs a place to rest. So
you've got
yes,
a lot
to
of
breathe
places to
here
kind
and
of break
there.
it,
Yes,
but it just,
yes.
and then you framed it with some nice piano
Yeah.
keys that aren't,
And
that
did you use two battings?
I did, yeah.
Is there any place in this quilt? She said, "Don't ask her anything. She doesn't know." But she knows this. Is there any place in this quilt that you use two threads together?
No.
Marie's notorious
Yeah,
for that, to
yeah.
make something really
Oh.
bold.
Yeah, but this was pretty bold. This
The
purple, that was
Who would have thought to put purple?
yeah.
Because there's a lot
So
of orange
here's
here,
a purple
and
here, and a
there's
purple
pink.
here. So that was pretty bold,
And that's what I like about all of these. You look at it and you think, I would have never thought to do that, but look how beautiful it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked.
It worked so well.
So my question is, I wonder how much unpicking there was done in each of these quilts to get what they really wanted, or if they just started. What about you? Did you do any unpicking?
Well,
Ripping out?
we'll say no. Everything was perfect.
You just went like it should've?
No, there's always lots of, change my minds or oops or whatever.
Did you draw it on a paper, or did you just start in the center and
I just started in the center and worked my
so
way
you didn't
out.
draw anything out? It just came as you.
Yeah, I knew I wanted to accent these white colors, and I thought the little checkerboards with white would be good. And it's one of those things. It's like hanging it on the wall. Once you get it on the frame, you might have an idea, but it kind of talks to you. You kind of get ideas as you go. And sometimes you try something and it does not work, and that's when that seam ripper comes out.
Okay, so you used Pro Stitcher.
I did.
You used straight line rulers.
I did.
You used
Circle rulers. Circle rulers.
circle rulers.
I did.
What else?
And I used, what else?
Free motion.
Pro Stitcher.
Free Motion, Pro Stitcher. I used a little stencil that I made myself. And I did this funky facing, that was a new thing.
That was a new thing for
Yeah,
you.
that was the first time I ever on that. Yeah, lots of different threads. Did we mention purple thread was a?
So Marie talked about how the quilt spoke to her. Well, Linda Gosselin had written in that her quote was, "A quilt will speak to you and tell you when it's finished."
Oh,
Oh, what a good way to end this.
yeah, I think we're finished.
That sounds great.
All right. So remember, a quilt will talk
Speak to you.
speak to you, and tell you when it's finished. Because if you ever finished a quilt and you think, oh, I could have quit a long time ago and it would have been okay, or you think, I need to put that back on and do some more.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot here. I love the density. It's equal density. You've got some real tight in some places, but you've managed that throughout the whole quilt so that you didn't just do everything dense in the center and didn't just let it go, so that, because it lays really straight. You blocked it.
I blocked it twice. If you want your quilt to lay flat, you have got to block it.
And how do you
know?
block it?
And I do not like a quilt that looks like it's been washed and wrung. So I will lay mine out, pin it on the ground. I make sure it's square. I have my own tools. I know you don't believe it.
She doesn't know how to use tools.
It's just a light, though.
It's just a light. I can lay it out there. I can get it square, and I pin just using my long arm pins, and I pin it on the carpet about every inch. I make sure it's square, and then I just use a spray bottle, and I get it really wet. I make sure it's all the way down, and then let it dry like 12 hours, 24 hours.
So you said you had to do it twice. Why?
I did it twice because after I got done and did the facing on it, I felt like it wasn't exactly laying flat. So I did it again.
So it's okay.
And sometimes after I do a binding, I feel like I need to do it again.
Okay.
But it doesn't have that washed look.
No, it doesn't.
It's beautiful.
Crinkly, old-fashioned look that some
Yeah.
people really like, because
Yeah.
this is not what this is supposed to. This is more of a wall hanging. This is a art.
Keep saying good things. Come on.
It's really beautiful. Can I bring mine to work and you can take it home and?
No. Bring it to work and we'll quilt it here, right? We'll do, yeah.
Maria's got so much in her little brain. It's wonderful. Well, all of these quilts are so beautiful, and it's so fun to see our quilters, our educators, and see what their expertise is.
Their talents.
And
yes.
how they
And their-
interpret.
Yep.
Yes.
And how you can do that too. So I hope that you'll take this challenge. It's Deborah Linker, and you can go to her website, deborahlinker.com, and you can see her ice-dyed fabrics and buy your own and create some masterpiece. So join us next month for another fun HQ Live.